Hello, I'm Dr. Reed from the Fertility Center, and I'm sending out a warm welcome to everyone joining our webinar tonight. Tonight's discussion is going to be focused on conceiving, natural conception, 5 keys to creating a fertile mind and body for pregnancy. We will be making this webinar available for future views on our YouTube channel. Feel free to share it with any woman you know who could benefit from the information, and feel free to refer to it as much as you'd like. At the Infertility Center, we work with women to naturally enhance or return to fertility. Ironically, a majority of the women of whom we see at our clinic have already participated in mainstream reproductive medical care in America. And they've had multiple IUIs, several laparoscopic surgeries, and a few rounds of in vitro with still no baby. Typically, we are a couple's last-ditch effort for fertility and are considered to be the desperate or final attempt at helping complete their family. As you can imagine, there's no pressure. But thankfully, our strategies, our non-invasive treatments, therapies, and protocols are completely customizable to each woman's needs, many times overlooked needs. And to date, we currently have a 100% success rate with women conceiving naturally, at least once. And we have a 97% success rate with a full-term pregnancy. Whether these mom-to-bees that we've been working with were struggling with infertility challenges for a few years, a decade, or even sometimes a few decades, they all have physically different needs. But many times, these women are dealing with similar mental and emotional challenges. Unfortunately, this component to reproductive health and wellness is easily overlooked and is either left improperly assisted or completely neglected. Women who start riding the roller coaster of infertility, fertility challenges, they need support mentally and emotionally more than ever. And usually they're left to perpetuate feelings and mental cycles that not only create stress, but actually move them away from a state of fertility. My experience in working with women with fertility challenges is that many of these women have no clue how either their thoughts or their emotions affect their fertility. And they don't know that they're sabotaging their fertility on an hourly, daily, or weekly basis with their heart and their mind. My goal with tonight's webinar is to briefly explain what stress is, how it affects our reproductive health, and then 5 keys to creating a fertile mind and body for natural conception. Firstly, stress. Stress is a demand on our physiology that makes us adapt to survival, but not for long-term health. See, in fact, when our body is investing in the stress response, it inhibits resources, energy, hormone production for longevity and wellness. Actually, many systems of the body are impaired in a state of stress, such as metabolism, immune system function, and reproductive health. When our body is stressed, as though it needs to run away from a predator, stressed, it doesn't permit energy to go into digesting our lunch, fighting bacteria or cancer cells, or even creating and sustaining life. Stress appears in 3 forms, and each form begins with the same physiological response for us to fight or flee, just as though we were going away from a predator. Firstly, physical stress. Physical stress demonstrates itself as a demand on the body that actually promotes injury. This can be an overuse physical stress, like working out too intensely for too frequently and not allowing the body to heal and repair. Or the opposite, too little of something that the body physically needs, like sleep or hydration. Both forms of physical stress alter how well the body functions and heals. Now, more commonly than physical stress is chemical stress. Chemical stress presents itself as underlying toxicities or deficiencies. For example, magnesium, a tiny little molecule, is needed to help the body get through a stress response. And if we don't regularly replenish magnesium in our body and yet always have a demand of stress on our body, something's got to give, and the deficiency of magnesium itself will actually perpetuate the stress response even further. And more commonly than the physical and chemical stresses are the third and final culprit, and the one that's the hardest for humans to get a handle on, and that is mental and emotional stress. Our thoughts actually directly affect our physiology. Frustration, anxiety, low self-esteem, bitterness, sadness, depression, type A personalities. All of these and more feelings and traits start the same cascade of events in the body as though we are fighting for our life from a predator, such as a saber-toothed tiger. However, our tigers are usually in the form of relationship stresses, financial stresses, occupational stresses, family stress, and so on and so forth. When forced to be dealing with stress and put into a stressful state, either intensely short-term or chronically long-term, our intelligent bodies will not permit us to conceive, let alone carry to full term. A lot of women don't know that. When stressed, our bodies are in a state of defense, not creation. Our bodies will not allow us to invest more energy pulling away from the survival mode and investing into conceiving, carrying, and caring for a baby, especially in a harsh environment. And any type of these stressors, physical, chemical, or mental, emotional, are environments that our body perceives. In fact, an article in the Berkeley Scientific Journal stated, quote, "For those hoping to prevent pregnancy for now or forever, overcommitting to too many different classes, jobs, and other engagements may serve as a slightly effective birth control." Overcommitment, birth control? A lot of us don't associate the two of those together, and yet they go hand in hand. So let's discuss in a little bit more detail how our stress affects our fertility. When our mind and body perceive something as stressful, our nervous system activates the hormonal cascade of the endocrine system, with permitting the adrenal glands, which sit on top of our kidneys, to dump high amounts of cortisol and adrenaline into the bloodstream. This allows us to have energy and also impairs our ability to feel pain while we're running as fast as we can or fighting as hard as we can from the threats in our life, even though they can all be mental and emotional. When cortisol increases, the concentration of luteinizing hormone, LH, decreases in our ovaries, disrupting or even completely halting ovulation. Luteinizing hormone controls whether or not an ovary releases the mature egg. So the process that we always chart and we know it to be as ovulation can be completely disrupted or halted. When luteinizing hormone is inhibited, the ovary does not release an egg, and conception becomes impossible. Beyond conception, cortisol still plays a role in fertility. See, high levels of cortisol are strongly associated with miscarriages. If your body is in a state of chronic stress and your body is constantly dumping out cortisol, it knows that it should not be responsible for another life at this point in time. Again, our bodies do not want us to invest energy into conceiving, carrying, and caring for a baby in a harsh environment. Adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, is another stress-related hormone in the body. When we are stressed, adrenaline rushes from the adrenal glands to shunt blood from our visceral organs, and it pumps that into our arms and legs so we can fight or we can flee. And that's all for survival. But the lack of blood flow to our reproductive organs affects how well they function and they heal. And many studies from the past several decades have demonstrated that high stress levels strongly impair fertility in women. So, what can you do about it? Well, there's 5 keys to creating a fertile mind and body for pregnancy. Firstly, correct mindset. Correct mindset. When struggling with infertility, we have a tendency to obsess over charting and apps and calendars so we can know all of our cycles to the nth degree. And we really want to know when we're fertile, but yet we have this mindset that we should be fertile all the time. We're not men. Males are fertile all the time. And in all actuality, we put that same pressure of being fertile all the time on us when we're not designed to be fertile all the time. We are not constantly in a state of fertility, so we shouldn't put pressure on ourselves as though we are. Actually, as a species and as a gender, women are not typically fertile. Our window of fertility during our reproductive years is usually 4.5 days every month if we're ovulating properly and our stress levels aren't too high. And usually that lasts from age 15 to age 45 approximately. So 30 years. That means throughout our entire lifetime, on average, we will only be fertile about 1,650 days of our life, in which we can properly ovulate to conceive. Let's not focus, however, on these limitations of days, but on how to maximize what we have. So correct mindset. Don't put pressure on yourself to be fertile every moment. It's not going to happen. No woman is fertile all the time. So how do we maximize what we have? I would like you to start taking the next key, and that's investing in your future. Investing in your future means that we have to invest now in what we want for the quality of eggs that we will be maturing and releasing in 90 days. It takes 90 days for an egg to go through full maturation. Realize that any stressful environment that you could be experiencing now is directly affecting your quality and the abilities of your eggs that you will be releasing in 90 days. Briefly go through physical, chemical, and mental emotional stressors that you could be exposing your eggs to, and then begin to eliminate them from your life for the sake of your eggs. If you're confused about the stressors, like and join our Facebook page, as we will continue to post information about identifying and addressing stressors that affect fertility. But try to invest now in what you'll be releasing in the next 90 days. And make sure that those are completely ready and healthy eggs. Thirdly, and one of the things that I think is the most important, is to love yourself and your reproductive system. Many of the women that I end up seeing have gone through fertility challenges for quite some time, and they have a completely broken relationship with their body, and many times in turn with their own identity. It has to do with the love-hate relationship or the dynamics that we create when we begin to go through puberty. You know, the embarrassment of a leaking tampon. We kind of dislike our uterus and the abilities of its cleansing powers for that. The pain of severe cramping during menses. The problem of having to spend energy and time into charting or freezing our ovaries with medication so we don't become pregnant when we don't want to in our life. And then when we're ready to become pregnant, demand that they work optimally, all of the reproductive system together in harmony. And many women who have had miscarriages, you know, they feel as though their uterus failed them. Their mind wanted something and their body couldn't follow through. These dynamics need to change. In order for there to be health and healing with the reproductive system, we can't go on having a broken relationship with our body. One easy method is to acknowledge, respect, and invest directed attention to your amazing body. And this is what I recommend. If you place your hands in an upside down triangle and put your thumbs, the center of your thumbs, inside your belly button, and then you'll rest your fingertips downwards towards your pubic bone. Where your pointer fingers lie is where your uterus should be. And just putting energy and warmth right into that area is you connecting with your body. And then a mantra might be appropriate for you. A mantra like, I appreciate and respect you. Thank you for giving me my femininity and the innate ability to conceive and carry my child, even if it hasn't happened yet. You investing in that and forward thinking and loving your body, even as though it's already producing for you, is really how you can help heal some of these broken relationships that we have with our body, where we have a love-hate relationship with our uterus or ovaries. Another thing is that I think it would be wise, if you're trying to conceive natural conception, is to really pull yourself away from stress. So let's be preventative. We're not going to be able to always completely dissipate the stress in our life. But let's be a little bit proactive here. Find or pursue de-stressors. So this will help us pull us out of the chronic stress cycle that so many of us are in. We actually have the ability at our clinic to measure heart rate variability, which is how healthy your cardiovascular system is depending on how much stress you've adapted to with your nervous system. The fertility challenges that we see with our women always have a skewed, very sympathetic dominant, or what's called survival-oriented stress response. Women are stuck in a state of stress and their body can't balance itself out of it. Even when there's no predator around, they're constantly dumping out hormones for stress. And so let's pursue de-stressors. Think about, write down, list on a piece of scrap paper, select some things that really give you joy and have no stress attached to them. And then put it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar so you can access these things on a daily basis or on a weekly basis minimum. You can preventatively add balance if you take the initiative and do this right away. And if it will help you keep your appointment time or, your block of time for de-stressing, put fertility in front of it. Like fertility massage, right? Or fertility yoga, fertility hot soak, fertility meditation, fertility prayer, fertility acupuncture, even a fertility walk. Whatever gives you a de-stressing ability, that's what you need to pursue, and make sure that you incorporated it preventatively in your life. Another option, and the final option that I have real quick for helping us balance our nervous system and allowing your body and mind to conceive naturally, is to use magnesium. I am a huge magnesium fan. I recommend transdermal, which is actually when you put magnesium through on your skin and absorb it through your skin surface. That's done through soaking with Epsom salts, or magnesium chloride is even better. Or even spray magnesium, where you can rub it in after a hot shower or bath. Always follow the directions on your bottle of magnesium. But if you've gone through chronic stress cycles, then your eggs and your mind and your body are going to be needing magnesium at high amounts. Another great option for magnesium is magnesium-rich foods, but usually, the green leafies have high amounts of magnesium if they're organic and they came from soils high in magnesium. Unfortunately, a lot of our soils are depleted, so the food is depleted. So if you were going to be ingesting magnesium orally, I suggest a pico or ionic form, meaning a normal capsule will not do. You won't absorb a majority of it. It'll just go right through you. That's why a lot of people use it as a laxative effect. So with magnesium, it needs to be nano, ionic, or pico form for you to absorb it better. And not only is magnesium critical for you to recover from the stress response, but it's also necessary for conception and for pregnancy. There you have it. 5 ways to actually improve your own fertility, improve your own ovulation, and the health of your whole body by just getting a handle on your mind. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at the Infertility Center, and feel free to share this or like this, spread the news. It's information that I think more women need to know. Until next time, thanks for joining the webinar. Have a good night.